You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law.
New footage of King Harris behind bars just hit the internet, and the streets can't stop buzzing. T.I. and Tiny's son has been flexing like he was built for this life, but now that viral jail clip got everybody questioning if he's really cut out for it. Let's break down what went down behind those bars. King's legal troubles aren't just some random case. He's not your average suburban kid trying to make noise in the streets. This is the son of Clifford T.I. Harris, the King of the South, and Tamika Tiny Harris. He was born with more clout than most people will ever see. But sometimes that privilege turns into a curse when you're out here trying to prove you're really about that life. Everything came to a boiling point on October 14, 2024, when Doherty police hemmed King up during what started as a simple traffic stop. But this wasn't your typical celebrity kid getting pulled over. This was the moment all of King's reckless moves finally caught up with him. He's leaving a Chevron station in his BMW, probably feeling himself, when he cuts across double yellow lines and almost smashes into a police cruiser. Any smart hustler knows you don't drive wild around cops, but clearly, King's street smarts weren't matching his image.
I stopped you because you crossed double yellow lines to turn left onto Mount Vernon. Well, I'm saying that you weren't allowed to turn left right there because it's separated by those double yellow lines. I got you. Do you have your license on you? Go ahead and step it up. Okay, Mr. Harris.
The officer pulls him over for the traffic violation, but that's when things take a turn. As soon as the cop walks up to the whip, he catches the smell of that loud pack and then notices the strap sitting right on King's hip. We're talking about a loaded 9mm just out in the open like it's nothing. Now, anybody from the streets knows that's rookie mistake number one. You never make it that easy for them to catch you slipping. But here's where it gets even crazier. Once the officer runs King's info, an active bench warrant pops up out of Pickens County. Turns out, he had already failed to appear in court for an August 2022 case where he got jammed up for speeding, driving on a suspended license, and DUI.
So what they say my warrant for?
So your warrant is for a failure to appear. Dispatch is going to call in and make sure it's still valid.
Failure to appear where? I didn't have no court dates.
It's for a DUI out of Pickens County.
Out of Pickens County? The only DUI, I had a suspicion of a DUI a long time ago and it was dismissed, so I don't know what they were talking about.
The body cam footage from that arrest, which surfaced months later, painted a whole different picture of King Harris than what we're used to seeing online. This wasn't the tough-talking young bull who's always claiming he stands on business. This was a confused, frustrated kid, one who didn't even seem to understand his own legal situation.
Hey, Pickens County, I don't even know what Pickens County is. So I'm confused.
Where was your DUI?
Jasper.
Jasper is that a city or a county?
County. Can I call my look?
Listen to that energy shift, fam. This the same dude who was on Instagram bragging about how he'd pull up on anybody, but the moment he's facing real law enforcement consequences, he's cooperative and confused. He doesn't even know which counties he's got pending cases in. That's not street smart behavior. That's suburban kid behavior. King kept swearing he had no outstanding court dates, convinced his 2022 DUI case was already dismissed. But if the streets teach you anything, it's that the system never forgets, even when you do. Warrants don't just disappear because you think they should. When officers searched his BMW, they found exactly what you'd expect from someone trying too hard to play street. King even preemptively told them about multiple firearms inside, including an AR-15 style rifle and other weapons belonging to his passengers. And here's the kicker. If you're really moving weight or handling business, you don't go volunteering information to the cops. That's hood rule number one.
I don't want y'all to check the car.
I can't hear you.
I don't want y'all to search the car.
Well, I understand that, but if I smell weed, that's probable cause to search the vehicle.
You're not gonna find nothing. You're gonna find my gun.
The contradiction is crazy, right? He's telling them not to search while at the same time spelling out exactly what they'll find. That's not gangster behavior. That's nervous rich kid behavior. But this is where King's legal troubles turned deadly serious. Because of a prior juvenile felony conviction, his firearm possession wasn't just a state issue anymore, it became a federal one. That means he was potentially staring down charges for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. We're talking about real time, not just a slap on the wrist. Throughout the arrest, you can literally see King's frustration build as the reality sinks in. He keeps asking what the officers expect to find, getting more and more agitated as the search goes on. The tough guy persona starts to crack under pressure, revealing someone who clearly wasn't ready for the weight of real consequences.
I would appreciate more than anything right now is to be able to make a phone call. So when we get there, we can already be figured.
To who? Who are you trying to make a phone call to?
I'm trying to make a phone call to my pop.
King was first transported to DeKalb County Jail, then extradited to Pickens County the very next day. But since courts were closed for Columbus Day, he couldn't post bond right away. That's when the reality of being locked up probably hit him, because no amount of Instagram lives or tough talk could get him out of that cell. The warrant was eventually recalled and King bonded out, but by then, the damage was already done. His arrest record was public, and the charges weren't the kind that build street credibility. We're talking failure to appear warrants and traffic violations. Real street cats were clowning the situation. The timing couldn't have been worse either. This all went down right after King's baby shower, with him expecting his first child with his girl, Jania Epps. Instead of stepping up as a soon-to-be father, he found himself facing serious legal trouble for trying to play gangster instead of handling responsibilities like a grown man. Social media showed him no mercy. Comments were pouring in, "He wanna be a thug so bad. And Tip gonna let him sit in there too." The internet, as always, stayed undefeated when it came to exposing fake tough guys. And DJ Academics? He dropped probably the most brutal, but also the most accurate, commentary on the entire situation.
In reality, he got arrested for a failure to appear ticket for a traffic violation, so they arrested him. But we know this is King, so we're just gonna call it. We're gonna call it that they locked him up for. They locked him up for a bot.
AK was basically saying what everybody else was already thinking. King craved street credibility so badly that folks started clowning him by making his traffic violations sound way more serious than they really were.
I'm so puzzled why King feels the desire, need, want to be considered a street dude that badly. Why is he so obsessed with the struggle, with the life of being a street dude? Street dudes ain't really one.
That observation cut deep because it highlighted just how absurd King's whole situation really was. Why would someone with every advantage in life want to chase a lifestyle that most people spend their lives trying to escape? It showed how disconnected he was from the reality of what street life actually means. The arrest also exposed the complicated dynamic between King and T.I. On one hand, Tip had been talking tough, saying he'd cut King off financially and let him face the consequences. But seeing his son actually locked up? That probably triggered those parental instincts. Still, even T.I.'s influence had its limits. Despite his resources and connections, he couldn't just make King's legal problems vanish. King was going to have to face the music like everybody else. When the body cam footage finally surfaced in August 2025, it reignited the debate about King's authenticity. What people saw wasn't the tough-talking persona from Instagram. It was a polite, confused young man clearly out of his element. It was the complete opposite of the image he'd been trying to sell online. But the 2024 arrest was just the beginning. All through 2025, rumors started swirling about even more serious consequences. Reports claimed King had been sentenced to 5 years in prison, though most of that chatter was unverified gossip with no official record. Still, the arrest marked a turning point. King's online bravado finally collided with legal reality, and the results weren't pretty. His cooperation with officers, his confusion about his own cases, all of it showed he wasn't built for the life he claimed. It was clear King Harris was in over his head, and his legal troubles were just the start of a bigger storm that would test not only him but his entire family. Because the streets don't play games. And King was about to learn that lesson in the most expensive way possible. The real tea started brewing when one of the most uncomfortable Harris family moments ever got caught on camera. We're talking about that notorious incident at the Atlanta Falcons game back in November 2023, where their family dynamic got exposed to the world during a heated live stream argument. This wasn't your average father-son disagreement. This was generational trauma spilling out in real time. You had King sitting in a luxury suite at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, going live on Instagram, trying to convince both the world and his own father that he wasn't soft. The irony? Thicker than Atlanta traffic.
Spoon, I ain't never ate with that day a day in my life.
Nigga, you did have a silver spoon.
Look, I used to have to come to my grandma's house because I'm getting in the
You
fight.
cried like a baby to go to your grandmama's house.
Every day.
You used to hold your breath
Every
and
day.
no tantrum to go
I don't want to be in these gates. I want to be outside in the neighborhood.
Now listen to that energy, fam. You got young King going hard, claiming he never had it easy, talking about how he stands on business, all while live streaming from one of the most expensive seats in the stadium. The cognitive dissonance was loud, and the streets definitely caught on. But T.I. wasn't letting that cap slide. The King of the South had to check his own son, putting him in a headlock during the live stream when things got too heated. That single moment showed the world that no matter how much money or fame you've got, family dysfunction runs deep in every household. The whole incident exposed something bigger about King's psyche and the struggles of growing up hip-hop royalty. When you're born into wealth but the culture you idolize glorifies struggle, where do you find your identity? King's been wrestling with that question his whole life, and the world has been watching it play out in real time. Tiny didn't hold back during that blow-up either, dropping personal business that had the internet in shambles. She exposed that King was still sucking on a pacifier until he was 12 years old, something that completely undercut all his tough guy talk. The streets don't forget details like that, and it became instant ammo for anyone questioning his credibility. But let's be clear, this family beef didn't just pop up out of nowhere. If you rewind to 2019, you can see the foundation being laid when 14-year-old King was already begging his parents to homeschool him so he could chase rap dreams full-time.
I'm gonna tell you the reason why he want to be over there. Y'all ready? Cause he can suck and pacify over there till he was 12 years old. He was sucking pacify till he was 12 years old. He didn't do that in the house. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
They trying to say I was over there trying to suck a pass.
T.I. was already spotting the warning signs back then, and his response was straight no chaser. You ain't put in the work yet. Pops knew his son wanted the shine without putting in the grind. But King wasn't trying to hear it. That disconnect between King's privileged reality and his street dreams only grew more obvious with a string of wild moments that had the internet clowning him non-stop. Take the infamous aluminum foil bowl situation from January 2024. King posted himself eating ramen out of a makeshift foil bowl, claiming he ran out of dishes. But the hood wasn't buying it, not for a second. People immediately called out the performative poverty, pointing out how his flexing struggle while rocking designer fits and living in a mansion. Comments lit up. He wanna be from the trenches so bad, but got maids and butlers making foil bowls. The internet stayed undefeated when it came to exposing fake hardship. Then came that embarrassing scene at a high school basketball game. King decided to bless the halftime crowd with an impromptu performance of his track, but instead of hyping him up, the students roasted him. They laughed, heckled, and turned the whole thing into a comedy show. When high schoolers are clowning you during your own performance, that's when your street cred is officially in question. But King's biggest L came when he tried to beef with comedian Drewski over the phrase standing on business. Youngblood actually claimed he invented the saying and even threatened to pull up on Drewski if he didn't get his credit. The whole thing was corny from the jump. And when Drewski clapped back on The Breakfast Club, he didn't hold back a single punch.
Come on. King Harris.
Ooh, standing on business.
What we talking about, man? Come on, man.
Don't play with people's kids now.
He
Don't
talking
play
about,
with
hey,
King.
come on, man. What? Come on, bro.
King said
You talking about King
the term standing on
T.I.P.
business.
son?
Yes, King.
He said he pulling up on you.
Drewski said out loud what everybody was already thinking. King talks tough, but at the end of the day, he goes home to comfort and luxury. King tried to clap back with fat jokes, calling Drewski built like a punch buggy, but the damage was done. He looked more desperate for relevance than like a real threat. The embarrassment didn't stop there. On 2 Chainz podcast, King went viral for all the wrong reasons when he couldn't spell the word tomorrow. Even his own father sat there in disbelief. Imagine being 20 years old and struggling with basic spelling in front of millions. That clip spread like wildfire, with people questioning what kind of education this young man ever received. All these incidents started painting a clear picture. King Harris was stuck between 2 worlds but couldn't authentically claim either one. He was too privileged to understand real struggle, but too immature and unfocused to earn respect through actual achievements. And the streets? They only respect 2 things: authenticity and results. King had neither. T.I. eventually got fed up and cut off his son financially, giving him the tough love that was long overdue. But by then, the pattern was already set. King was on a collision course with consequences money couldn't fix. The tragedy is that he had every resource to build something legitimate: industry connections, financial backing, and a father who knew the game better than most. But instead of using those advantages, he kept trying to convince people he came from the trenches. By the end of 2024, the mask was slipping. His persona was getting exposed, his music attempts were flopping, and his family relationships were cracking under the strain. The streets don't respect cosplay, and King was about to learn that lesson the hardest way possible. But the family drama and social media clowning were just the warm-up. 2025 hit the Harris clan like a storm. Word spread that King had been sentenced to 5 years in prison. On top of that, rumors flew that he got jumped inside a Georgia county jail. Whether true or not, the fact people believed it showed how far his reputation had fallen. Allegedly, King was brutally beaten by multiple inmates in what some described as a coordinated hit, with surveillance cameras mysteriously malfunctioning during the attack. If that really happened, it was the ultimate worst-case scenario for somebody who spent years trying to prove he was street. Because here's the thing about jail politics, your reputation follows you. And if you've been fronting online, real convicts will test you immediately. The alleged attack was said to be a targeted move because of King's high-profile family name and his wannabe gangster persona. Translation: he became prey because he couldn't back up the tough talk. T.I.'s supposed response was desperation. Reports claimed he was begging for his son's release and calling it a targeted assault. The same father who once preached tough love was now pleading with the system to protect his child. That's when you know the game got real. But while King was allegedly fighting for his life behind bars, another crisis exploded at home. September 2025 brought messy baby mama drama between King and his girlfriend, Jania Nana EPS. The allegations were wild. Reports claimed she was draining King's finances, running a finesse play disguised as a relationship, using their son as leverage to access Harris family money, and even demanding support from T.I. and Tiny before the baby was born. Now, if you know hood politics, you know one of the most embarrassing LS is getting played by your baby mama. And according to reports, T.I. snapped, allegedly telling EPS she wasn't in it for love, just the bag, and she wasn't about to finesse her way into Harris accounts. But the dysfunction didn't stop there. Rumors began circulating that King retaliated by leaking a dirty list of T.I.'s alleged affairs, possibly pushing Tiny toward divorce. Whether that list even existed didn't matter. The fact that people believed King would betray his own father like that showed just how toxic their bond had become. Meanwhile, King's own choices in love were adding fuel to the fire. Earlier in 2025, he admitted publicly to being in an open relationship, saying EPS didn't care about his cheating as long as it didn't cause drama. That revelation exposed a whole new level of dysfunction. This wasn't just about legal issues anymore, this was his personal life unraveling. Then came another blow. In September, Boosie Badazz publicly mocked King, amplifying rumors about a leaked intimate tape allegedly involving him and another man. Real or not, Boosie weaponized it to torch King's image, calling him out while throwing shots at T.I. too. His words were brutal. That lil boy got them tapes out. Baby mama ain't playing. Whole family wild. You can't raise no street and asterisker if you soft yourself. Asterisk. It was a double hit, clowning King while questioning T.I.'s legacy as the King of the South. In hood culture, that kind of disrespect is heavy. But T.I. was already drowning in too many crises to clap back. By mid-2025, the weight of it all seemed to break his spirit. Reports surfaced of him reaching a point of resignation, saying he was exhausted and out of answers.
I've already had the conversation, so now you're gonna have to go through it. You're gonna have to go through it and get through it. Ain't nothing me and mama or nobody else gonna be able to say about it.
That statement marked a turning point. T's tough love approach gave way to something heavier, an exhausted father finally admitting he couldn't save his son from himself. For all his money, influence, and hard-earned street wisdom, King's spiral had gone beyond his control. The financial pressure only added fuel to the fire. In July 2025, T.I. and Tiny's much-publicized $71 million lawsuit victory against MGA Entertainment was slashed down to just $17.9 million. Almost immediately, speculation ran wild. Would that payout be used to bail King out of his legal mess, or had T.I. reached the point where he was ready to let his son face the consequences alone? Even the so-called lighter moments revealed how deep the dysfunction ran. In September 2025, King popped up online offering rapper Tootie Raw free veneers if he'd agree to a gym challenge. On the surface, it was comedy gold for the internet. But underneath, it was the same pattern. King showing off with shallow stunts while ignoring the storm closing in on every side.
I just made this offer to my boy Tootie. I'm gonna let the world know this offer. I told my dog all he gotta do is come to the gym with me, and I'm gonna get him set up with some veneers on me.
The Tootie Raw offer was pure King Harris, flashy, generous, but tone deaf. a gesture meant to flex wealth, while completely missing the bigger picture of what really mattered. Looking back at King's story in 2025, the pattern is undeniable. A perfect storm of privilege, reckless choices, and consequences no amount of money could erase. His fall from a sheltered celebrity upbringing to an alleged prison target stands out as one of hip-hop's most spectacular downfalls in recent memory. But this saga isn't just about one young man's missteps. It reflects deeper truths about the culture and the world around it. King's obsession with proving street credibility exposes a harsh reality: how hip-hop often glorifies struggle over stability, authenticity over genuine achievement. And yet, the greatest tragedy is how avoidable it all was. With his family's backing, industry access, and financial security, King had every tool to succeed on his own terms. Instead, he chased validation in the wrong places, and the streets made him pay. The Harris family's turmoil also reveals the dark side of fame: how wealth, legacy, and constant public scrutiny can fracture even the strongest bonds. King's rebellion against his father's shadow didn't just scar his own reputation, it threatened to unravel the Harris legacy itself. The lesson is simple: the streets are unforgiving. And King Harris learned it in the hardest way possible. Whether this becomes the education that reshapes him, or just another cautionary tale in hip-hop's long list of casualties, only time will tell.